to keep in mind. So win here for them would definitely secure it. So that is what they're going to be aiming for.
All right, let's see which map we're going to be playing on. Give it to me. 7 map pool, 6 are out, 1 is left, and it's Cafe Dostoevsky. Cowana banning out Villa. Technical map being removed there. Hap, your thoughts?
It's like, I don't know, because Penta, they have been looking strong, but they also look shaky every now and then, and I don't really think it matters what map they go to, because they're an overall really good team, and I believe that they're capable of winning on every single map. The question is, however, how is their form? Are they again in that shaky form where they managed to get a draw the last time around? Or are we talking about the unbeatable form we've seen them be in, where basically no one can touch them, with Blast just running in and gunning everybody down left, right, and center?
How do you even deal with that, Fluke?
It's tough. It's very tough to deal with, because it's one of those things that's an argument that's made about a lot of teams that are built around very talented gunners, is how do you stop them when they're on their day? And sometimes it can be as simple as trying to thread 2 rounds together where they start to have a bit of momentum break, because it's also the thing that you'll see in these momentum teams is it's sometimes tough for them to pull themselves back in together. The tough thing here today for Cowana is you're up against Penta. This is a long storied roster, a long storied team. They've been all around the block and they've suffered heartbreak. So it's not just a question of you got to try and throw them off their game. You got to throw your game to the next level at the same time. It's not going to be an easy day for Cowana today.
Definitely not. If Penta show up as Hap is talking about, with Blaz hitting everybody all around the map, something to worry about. What sort of operators can be introduced or removed in this to save the day, Hap? We've been talking about the Glass meta game ever since it's been introduced a couple days ago.
I haven't really seen it that much yet. However, I did saw a clip coming down from BDS where they were able of using it quite well in the French league. That was quite scary to watch. Now I know that, Penta also plays that league, so they probably have been watching. We might see a little bit of that coming into play, but of course it's really hard to tell whether or not they will do that. So it's hard to predict the bans here. Might be going for a normal Thatcher or maybe a hard breach ban, because you're always in the right with that.
All right, Fluke, Hap, thank you so much for your input. Let's toss it over to our casters. Just you, I choose you, Penta v Cowana.
Here we go then, Jess. Guess what? It's our final game that we're going to be casting together now for the whole of these 5 weeks. My, how the time has flown. And for these teams, no doubt exactly the same. We are here on a day now where this game doesn't matter all that much in terms of the outcome for them. But seeding, looking at how the other group's gone today, been a little bit crazy on the final day. Every point can help in terms of who you're going to face up against in the playoffs.
I think that's the biggest thing as well, isn't it? Because these two teams, I mean, Penta predominantly has been having a smashing Challenger League season so far. The only time they've ever drawn, and let's be honest, was against M&M on this particular map. So the biggest weakness that Penta has is, quite frankly, on Cafe, if you're looking historically. But if you're looking holistically, well, I think Penta doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. I think the biggest weakness we actually saw from them is their inability to adapt with wall denial. And that's really the only weakness I have seen from them. Sometimes getting a little overzealous with their aggression, but for the most part, their aggression really just tears apart the rest of their opponents.
We'll see if that aggression today is going to work out for them. Cowana, of course, very recently now have all of their players playing full-time. Congratulations, boys. I think it was Sloth who had to serve out his notice period at work and now is able to commit to the game full-time. And they are hungry for that spot. Penta, no doubt, going to be a team that they are likely to face up against in playoffs if it comes towards threatening for that top spot to make it into EUL, either through the promotion tournament or coming up into that auto promotion spot. Let's have a talk around these bans, though, Jess. Ying, we've seen coming out quite a lot. We all seem to think that seems to be a bit of an attack towards the Glass meta that we're all expecting. Just means the ones that the operators that you bring the smokes along with otherwise aren't really the conventional ones that you'd expect to see.
Well, I think the big thing there was that we've seen Gorgona, and I believe it was from Oregon, from my memory, tossing it over the top of shelves and whatnot. So I think that's actually more of a target ban than it is sort of the Glaz Ying meta that we're sort of seeing slowly creep in as that patch has changed it. This one, I think, was a lot more targeted there, and I actually saw a bit of a cheeky smiley face in chat as well, and a little bit of a sad face to follow. And we'll get pretty default bans for the rest of them. A Thatcher were my End of Valkyrie going out of play. That means yet again, for whatever reason, something under the sun. I don't understand Coawana's thinking here, but I think they probably should have got rid of the mirror, because for the most part, we've seen them play really power positions with those mirrors, whether it's Ravan, whether it's Cactus, on this particular map. Maybe Cowana have prepped it. Maybe they've actually put a counter in place for it, and that's exactly what will happen. The 6 pick will happen. There'll be a position in Bathroom where Ravan will play this. I love the positioning. No wall denial for it outside of enemy, but I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to get rid of.
I did wonder about Penta choosing to come here for a second week in a row. Clearly, they're thinking that the winter isn't so kind to the UK teams. M&M last week, it was a 6-6 draw. This week, no doubt hoping for the same or better coming up against Cowana. And the one big weakness that I clocked for Penta last week was where it came down to their drone play on the attacking side. Whether that was down to M&M's excellent preparation of knowing where those pre-placed drones tend to sit and dealing with those quite comfortably, I'm not entirely sure. But it is something I'll be watching out for once we get into the second half. Because in the first half, guess who starts on the attack? It is none other than Cowana. Coming up with a pretty standard lineup, dare I say, in terms of their attacking setup. Seeing that butt coming out once again, a lot of teams relying on that on maps like Cafe, where there's a lot of opportunity for destruction from below as well as from above.
You can already see Blaz on the other side of the map. Not unusual for him. But now that he has the MP5, the big thing will be, can he hit the shots that he used to with the T5? And no, not quite. I actually think if he had the T5 there, he actually would have been able to get the kill on an R kick. I mean, I'm just counting the hit points for body shots in my head, and I actually think he would have been at least DBNO. So there you go. That's the difference these days, is not that you should balance an operator technically on a weapon, but for the most part, it makes her a little bit weaker of an operator. And for Cowana, it looks like they want to make a speedy entry up white, and guess who's waiting for them? It's a shield.
Of course it is. I had flashbacks then as that peek came out to Shaiko swinging around from spawn and literally one-tapping the player that was playing on Bakery Door in the head, even though it wasn't Shaiko that he was looking at, as the player in front of him ran ahead and almost got himself sprayed down. Fortunately, not going to be the same outcome coming in here for the side of Penta. It's to start to keep themselves alive, at least in the beginning. You mentioned about the aggression, the pace coming out of the side of Cowana. They aren't wasting too much time here. Guess what? They most definitely aren't here as they push their way through. That'll be a kill coming out of Gorgona, I believe, onto Alive as the kill feed fills up. This will be interesting, talking around the kill feed without anything else going on. It's traded back a few seconds later by Blaz, who sneaks his way up downstairs, manages to collect the kill, and then darts back off into the distance once more.
There's a lot of action happening below the site, and not really a lot going on above. And I was speaking about the mirror that Ravan likes to place in Bathroom. It's a huge power position, but given the way Cowana are playing this so far, and with the whole half of the round having already elapsed, my problem is that that mirror might not do anything except spot the default plant, which, if Penta keep being as aggressive as they are, might not ever eventuate. So my problem here is they've got power positions with the double mirror on this corner of Bathroom. Does Cowana deal with it? Probably not.
A real battle. Maybe that's part of why they just thought, you know what, forget about pushing into piano conventionally as we would do. Let's instead pull our efforts out towards the other side of the map. But at some point, they're going to have to worry about the impact that mirror can have. Just have a lot of coverage up towards the north into bar and also through storage when behind that mirror window. See what the threat looks like, and with the backup, of course, coming in from the clash into White Corridor, this is a bit of a no man's land. It's a no null-sum game coming out of Cowana. They're going to have to find alternative angles to go for a push. There is a flank coming up from Gridley right here. I don't think he knew about the mute being too close, and now he's going to know, but still loses the gunfight. Enemy picking up Grizzly first down. He goes into the dust. 3 versus 3, 30 seconds to go, and Sloth now taking the place of where his former comrade was just a few seconds ago. He equally has no idea that the mute is still lurking around, and apparently a lack of information has really bitten Cowana in the backside. Penta with a very comfortable end to round number 1.
It just, I said it from the very beginning, that power position with the mirror, you can evade it if you want to, and that's looked like what Cowana wanted to do. That's a viable strategy left and right. I'll absolutely give it to them. But then they kind of changed their minds 3/4 of the way through the round. Yes, they'd lost a few players. So maybe they'd lost the gun power that they would have needed to push Cocktail. My problem is that you can't rotate into unknowingness. You're going into the abyss. You have no drones to check things out. And when you do, you're face checking them, and you're face checking, oh, am I? You're face checking a mirror. You're face checking all of these different players that, quite frankly, are just going to mess you up the moment you do it. So I think they should have committed to that white stairs and that cocktail push. Yes, it might not have paid off, but at least they would have, finished what they started. Now we're going into the second round. don't really want to put too much emphasis on that loss for Cowana because it is attack. And I would say for the most part, at least Penta has shown that they can be quite defensive-sided on multiple maps. Look, Theme Park, Cafe multiple times now. So for me, I'm not too surprised at the moment.
Keen to see how the setup on the top floor takes place here as well. Are we going to see Cactus once again going for a mirror window up here? Wouldn't be completely alien, I think. Mainly something looking towards Cocktail out at Spets, looking out across bar and just trying to do this kind of long-range hold. Something around Trophy itself I'm not expecting to see, and nor should we really see an extended hold inside a bathroom. However, they have committed 2 reinforcements up there, so that comes as somewhat of a surprise. Okay, it's one up on the top floor. Yep, so that's not the one. That's the one I expected to see, the one inside a Cocktail, sorry. The one on the downstairs, halfway down White Stairs, I find interesting as well. We saw a few teams using this previously, where you can threaten both down White Stairs, up White Stairs, or just contest into Fireplace. It's a real power position, assuming you don't lose control of White, and of course, got to watch out for that White Stairs window.
Sometimes players and teams and support staff as a whole will identify that by placing a mirror somewhere, even if it gets popped, it's still able to be used by the defenders. That's still a line of sight you may have opened up anyway. So why not slap a mirror on it? If it stays intact, easy clap, then it, works in your favor if they do happen to push over towards train and mining. If they don't, whatever, it probably gets popped anyway, but if no one's pushing there, well, doesn't really matter. It's no real loss. The attackers can't really use it to their advantage because you've got lines of sight opened up anyway on the sides of the walls of Fireplace. And as this round particularly kicks off, my big point of contention is, does Blaz pop off this round? He's still got the MP5. We saw him hit a nice headshot over towards Reading last round. I'm always keen to watch him because he's kind of like the Shaiko of CL, you know what I mean? You kind of want to see what he's doing next.
He's the one that a lot of eyes are on, and understandably, there's quite a few players on Penta this season. Ravana, Alive, Blaz, all 3 of them stepping up and putting up huge numbers in the season. In fact, I think Ravana and Alive are ahead of Blaz right now when it comes to KD or rating. I forget which one it was when I was looking last week, but they are making sure that the rest of them are being noticed for their efforts in this team as well. It does make them a very scary team. Yes, there are weaknesses. No, they aren't undefeatable. But as it currently stands, they are the #1 team in this group. That will continue assuming they win here against Cowana, but Cowana may yet have something to say about that. As you observed, it is only the 1 round that has passed so far. It's definitely not the end of the world for either team. It's not defining of how this is going to play out. They tried to get rid of that mirror window. I think it was popped out in the last second, but no, it's still going to exist as it is. We'll finally get opened up by the ace. There we go. Challenge comes through into storage, and a trade will be put back. That's Sloth going down, but Kayak, the yak attack, as we all like to say, steps up and brings one back. 4 versus 4, 60 seconds to go. There's still a lot of time to play with, and 4 drones left alive for Cowana here. They have the ability to collect intel, but is there enough to catch any of these late round flanks coming out of Penta?
The really good thing there was Cactus wasted a heck of a lot of time. They've got less than 60 seconds left. They still need to make a couple of more verticals, which is why Gorgona will rotate up and get that skeleton key to work. And once they do have those verticals and they know they at least have laundry control and maybe the cross in the back of Reading, they will be able to get off a default plant. I believe it's Kayak who'll have a couple of smokes and the ability to get this plant down, but without pillar control, this could be dangerous. And unfortunately for Blaz, he's just not connecting the shots that he needs to here, but they are time delaying. This is awesome. 15 seconds left. I don't think they get the plant down unless they hit some gnarly shots.
But start hitting those gnarly shots right now, I should say, but sadly it's Blaz who's hitting the shots this round. A 2k for himself and only 2 members left on the side of Cowana, pushing into 3 on the other side. Enemy is ready with a shotgun. Gorgona will find one, but this timer is out. Round number 2 going to Penta quite comfortably, I'd wager, even more comfortably than round 1.
Yeah, I would give that as well, especially with the time delay that they were managing to put in on the top floor. I actually thought, yeah, that was pretty well done. In fact, when they did take Cactus out with the trade there, I actually thought to myself, oh, that's a poor trade. And I looked at the timer and I went, oh, hang on. The Cactus wasted so much time. It actually was really fruitful anyway. 2 rounds in the pocket of Penta. Enemy on the top of the scoreboard at the moment, somewhere he doesn't naturally sit given his support role as a whole. So it looks like he's been putting up a lot of numbers in what he's been doing. And you kind of have to put that to the fact that, well, I mean, for Penta at the moment, they could probably play a bit more aggressive on this particular matchup because they don't have a lot to lose, as you said. Okay, they might lose their seeding, but they've been doing so well in mechanical skill against every other team anyway. Eminem was the only team to really give them a run for their money. So they probably aren't feeling too distressed by putting up that extra aggressiveness. And if you look at the round count, to be frank, it's kind of working.
Admittedly, round number 1 did come down to him finding a 3k playing inside a cigar when there was 0 drones coming out of Cowana and
Right.
2 members just walked in, one after the other, like lambs to the slaughter. just stepped into the end of his barrel. He was more than happy to oblige and, well, blow the heads clean off their shoulders. Round number 3 we go into. 2 rounds to Penta so far. It's been a pretty convincing show. We did clock that with it being Cafe, you would expect them to do pretty well on the defensive side. There is a lot of the map to clear and a lot to worry about when you're attacking most of these sites that aren't the top floor. No excuse for Cowana, though. Some teams do still get away with very well executed attacks. And in fact, inside of Europe recently, we have seen teams who manage to execute very well onto a site like the downstairs here in Kitchen, completely bypass what's on the top floor and worry instead about direct access to site via bakery. Some teams like G2 historically, we've definitely levied some fair criticism in the lack of drones they have left in the dying 30 seconds of a round when they try and clear from the top floor down. So I'm keen to see what approach Cowana bring here. Do they go for a full map clear, or is it this direct line of sight and access to the site itself?
It'd be weird to bring a buck and then not utilize him for his purpose, you know, otherwise bring a sledge, get extra grenades. There's nothing more that a buck will bring other than, I suppose, if you're used to the weapon, if you prefer that weaponry, then sure, no problems, but it doesn't add too much extra. Blaz was in a danger zone for a couple of seconds there, but he manages to rotate back. And for Penta, it kind of looks like they're doing a bit of a turtle. A lot of those players on site, the only player off site technically is lurking over in VIP with a shield, as you would expect. And this is probably a good read of the situation. I'm not seeing Cowana rotate yet for the vertical. Ravan actually might be able to take advantage of that, open up his own verticals above prep and, you know, the default plant, and then he has monopoly over them running in and getting that kill.
But it's definitely this direct access focus. And I believe it was BDS when attacking here. They contested the player that was playing up here inside a train just by looking up. They didn't bother sending someone upstairs. They were just like, right, we're just going to shoot upwards as we enter the site and we will win the gunfights. We're that confident we can do it, as we've seen from them all season long. Why not go for that style of play? Not too sure Cowana should be feeling super comfortable and relying on that to be their go-to play here, but this access to the site directly, 100% looking to be the focus here. No denial, of course, coming through on the side of Penta means this should be a pretty simple task. I do worry if they get a bit held up here on the outside. They have now got to change things around and go for the ace, I imagine, to make sure they have got some visibility on the upstairs. And as you clocked earlier on, and very rightly corrected me, it is 2 detonations of a Selma, not 2 Selmas that you now have available. So it's not enough to open up a full hole. It's more of a vault hole if you want to go jumping through it.
Yeah, exactly right. My understanding was they were trying to do the Maverick trick there, where you Maverick the center of the wall and the top of the bottom. And that will give you access to a soft wall in a lot shorter time than anything else. Well-cooked grenade, but alive. Well, he stays alive, as his name would suggest. And is anyone watching the flank? Is anyone aware? Doesn't look like it. And now, well, Cowana, they're man down, but it doesn't matter. They've got some well-oiled machines ready to bust into sight. And this is better time management than the round before. But Gorgona is rotating with the diffuser. He's lucky he got that kill because no other access would have been available. They're not aware Cactus is here and he'll pop off. And oh, goodness me, I haven't play-by-played myself in forever, but there we go. Chuck it into the analysis here and there. Give it a shot.
Well, let me get my monocle and take a sip of my pipe before I do analysis on this round.
Oh,
Yes,
do
they
go
were
ahead.
watching the angles. The flanks were not aware.
Yep, go ahead. You are doing the analysis now.
Fine. That literally came down to drones there at the end. And I've seen a few teams criticize this and come around and say something to the effect of, when it comes to the final 60 seconds, it doesn't matter. We've already droned out the enemy players. We know where we need to push. It's not a problem. I don't care what they say. If you do not have drones watching flanks like that coming up through White Corridor, there is zero chance that you predicted that was the play that was coming out. And all that took there was the most basic of crossfires for Alive and Cactus, one running up into Restaurant, zero idea on the side of Cowana what was going on, and they get absolutely mown down without any kind of say into what was happening. It was well played by Penta to play off the clock. They knew that Cowana were under pressure, but Cowana, given you had direct access to the site, I thought they'd be a little bit pacier in their execution there, so need to see that step up next time.
Some clear weaknesses being shown here from Cowana, and I will say that a lot of their shots have been hitting pretty squarely on point, but that won't really matter if, one, your 6th enemy of time is absolutely squeezing a lot of pressure onto you at the dying moments of a round, and 2, you're just not watching fundamental parts of the map. Oh, I like that barbed wire there, and the reason I say I like it is I think Penta are aware that Cowana is so ever so focused on cocktail windows, on that east rappel, and if they're going to place a mirror, which I don't think they will, generally a lot of teams like to put a mirror on that wall looking into freezer towards the west. They've been doing double mirror in bathroom, but they might change it up now. Maybe they're looking for something fresh, who knows, but they know that someone might rappel in there, and if they do rappel in, they can move quite fast once they enter, but that barbed wire will just slow them down. Free kill for the defenders, easy.
Whenever I see a doc, I'm always just like, it's not the same, man. We all
Yeah.
miss the days. Crazy
P90
when there's one
doc.
piece of the dock and the rock combo. I was going to say the P90 coming along is a change to what you'd normally see with the MP5. And I think in this case, hey, you're thinking this is a good opportunity to still find a kill if someone comes aggressive at us. And he's looking at it. He has the right sort of idea as Gorgona isn't too far away. Wouldn't you just love it if he shoots him out of midair, if he goes singing up towards that window and he's like, hey, I think I'm ready. Gorgona being quite patient, though, doesn't want to just pull the trigger on this, as every good player should do if you're on the Amaru. Give it some time to get some drones in, make sure it's safe, and then you can go for your play. But right now, it'd be nothing but suicide.
Good identification about those below vertical holes by Sloth there. Not sure whether he droned it or not, but he's hyper aware and his game sense gave him those spidey senses. Looks like they did have a drone there tucked away. So that did give them a bit of an indication someone was playing pillars, and that's a very nice drone, actually. Not a lot that the defenders can really do to spot that one out. And now the big play here for Cowana is to speed things up and make sure they get this top floor in good time. They want to make sure that the control that they're looking for is in their hands. I don't know if it's going to be piano control. Sloth kind of has Cigar, partly. Ravan's still in this power position we spoke about before. I'm wondering whether setting up on the Skylight means they want to do a smoke drop. That would be a bit strange, considering the mirror setups. But, yep, that's the play.
That's the play. The drop comes in, and so do two members of Cowana. They're both gunned down, but Gorgona, man, what a game he's having so far. Strikes big too. Not aware of a live playing on the downstairs. Apparently, it doesn't matter what drones you have. No one was ready for him to come running up behind them at the top of half stairs and get the closing kill. An Arctic now by himself. It's a 1 versus 3. Nothing more to be said. It was a nice try for Cowana, but Penta, a little bit too ready there, boys.
Yeah, I knew when they were sort of prepping themselves above the Skylight, I thought, yeah, it's going to be a smoke drop and pop. I think those smokes got eaten by an ADS because I actually didn't see him pop myself. Maybe I'm going blind. I should put my glasses on, as everyone keeps telling me, but I didn't see either of them pop. And if they did, they were over towards Cocktail, and they still gave the mirror full line of sight. They still gave a couple of other players line of sight, and no one dealt with a live below. So if you're going to make those kind of plays, you have to be certain that those lines of sight are being held. I understand that Sloth was probably in a really good position to challenge quite a lot of it from Cigar. But the trouble is you've got to watch 3 different angles. It's not really possible. Amira's watching the drop. Multiple people have that intel, and things go south very quickly. For Cowana now, the big thing is, can they get one attacking round on the board? Now that's my thought process.
A single round. Just one, boys. We're not asking for a lot. Just something to give you some comfort going into the second half.
Right.
And to be fair with you, for Cowana, it's one of these really hard things with these boys, because seeing them coming out of Yukin, they were the top team. They were number 1. They came into playoffs.
yeah.
They got smashed by Na'Vi and lost both of their games and fell out of playoffs and couldn't get the auto qualification. Whereas M&M were. But Cowana has showed historically that they can do really well, that they are one of the best teams coming out of the UK. Watching them in CL so far, I've always felt like I haven't yet seen them at the peak that we saw them at in Yukin. We haven't seen the same quality that we used to seeing back then. And I'm beginning to wonder, like, dare I say this early, have we seen the ceiling for them? What is it that's going on? Is it they've gone full time? Maybe they can commit more time and improve a little bit more. But it does feel like we're seeing the same issues creep up time and time again. Consistency seems to be really hard for them to establish. And I'm wondering, are we going to see that in playoffs? Is there enough time for that to become a thing?
My big worry, and something that I've really picked up on in the time I've been in Siege, is that a team, and probably the best team for me to reference, and don't hate me for it because I love them as a team, the best team for me to reference is Tempra from EUL. Tempra in CL looked like monsters. Why? Because their teams allowed them to look like monsters. The moment they reached a higher tier and had to verse opponents that were more well-versed, let's say, then of course they're not going to perform as monsters as we saw them against, let's say, weaker opponents. That's just naturally how games and FPS games especially look as a whole. Someone might look well-polished and I guess special and crazy and awesome and all of those types of things in a lower tier, and the moment they get put up into a higher tier, they start to look unpolished just out of the fact that they're going up against tougher opponents. So I try not to make those mistakes anymore in judging a team. I can look at Penta here in Challenger League and I can go, wow, they're looking great. But can I say with full confidence going into EUL, if they do, that they're going to go wildly up against EUL teams? Probably not. They might sit mid or low tier just out of the fact that they've not had that competition in a while.
I think everyone will be slightly skeptical around the teams that we're seeing here in Seattle and what they'll be able to achieve in EUL,
Yeah.
but there is a long way to go. There's a lot of leveling up to do before we do step into those sacred grounds, and we'll see what they can achieve. Cowana even said 2 weeks ago, and they lost to Homeless as well. They went back to the drawing board, they paused, they reset, they reimagined pretty much everything. So we'll see if they can swing things around in the second half, or if they can make it work right here and right now. Gonna go aggressive with the flash coming out. Kayak picking up the opening kill. Don't worry, mate. He's most definitely already dead stuff. You can't kill a dead body again, I'm afraid. That's Cactus down. The dock is gone. 5 versus 4. Once again, kind of low on drones here. Got the 3-letter live if they want to, but here the vertical control is going to be a big intel gatherer for them. I'm wondering if we're going to see a late round flank out of someone on the side of Penta. White Stairs, always one of those moments where if you're holding those vertical angles, someone is going to come charging up. You've also got a live playing downstairs on the ground floor. A second kill lead is now double, with Blaz also going down. So it now falls down to Revan, Enemy, and Alive to keep this round, ironically, alive. They've got to keep it going, get it up to that 5th round, and put themselves in the driving seat in this game, because 2 rounds going back to Cowana here could signal a swing back the other way.
Oh no, the mid-stairs air jab placement means that Alive gets that for absolute free. 20 seconds left. This flank will be absolutely detrimental because Kayak is going for that plant. The top floor control is enormous here for Cowana. If they don't stop him now, the plant won't go down.
They've literally got 10 seconds. Once again, they've left it into the dying seconds. Kayak is going in to stick it. Here comes Alive, trying to take back control of the top floor. Runs face first into Grizzly, who goes more than happy to stick a knife in his chest and say, goodbye, friend. Enemy collects one onto Kayak once the plant has gone down. But I feel with that kill upstairs, with the vertical control still in favor of the side of Cowana, this should be their round. Revan and Enemy have got to pull off something magical here. And look at an Arctic playing on the outside. He's just waiting for someone to challenge the door. Revan attempts, but it's almost shot down. Will finally get picked up. It's all down to Enemy by himself. I think he wants to try and long arm this, but there's no way he can get away with it. Cowana will finally find the round they've been looking for off the back of a bit of an unlucky flank on the top floor.
Yeah, lucky they were able to shut that one down. I think the plant was going down anyway. I'm not sure what happened to Enemy smokes there. I'm not sure what the confusion was. Maybe there was a miscommunication. Maybe he'd already used them and I just hadn't been able to spot it throughout the round. But either way, Enemy's job there was to try and get that deny off. He wasn't able to. Plant goes down, and statistically, you're 80% more likely to win a round than you were before if the plant goes down, of course. So that's a huge push in the way of Cowana. They finally put up their first round. Gorgona's actually having a really good matchup so far, and he's been maining the buck round after round after round. I think for him, that's his preferred soft breach. That's his preferred weapon as well. He's been hitting some good shots. So I don't judge him for taking it. I think maybe there are other, more viable operators on this particular map as well. But I think the way he's using his soft breach and those skeleton keys have sped things up for his team.
Interesting, because he's one of the players that we've always looked at, and I think if you've always said, he's a bit of a quiet player, really looking towards Sloth to do magic things for them. Kayak, we always speak about as the big IGL in the backline.
Right.
Definitely putting in work in this game. Gorgona and Grizzly, a duo that have been together for as long as I can remember in UK Siege, I think. Speaking of Sloth this game, as a guy that likes to kind of declare himself as the fragger for the team, he likes to be aggressive, he likes to get those entry kills. He's currently 0-4. He does have those 4 assists on side, but thinking about that, these are kills that he's not converting or not closing. Maybe he's being traded out afterwards, but he's not the one putting the numbers on the board for his team. That has got to change when we get into the second half.
You can only hope that defense looks far better than the attacking side for them has looked. And I mean, you hope that for every team, especially considering Cowana have come into this matchup technically the underdog. Penta have sort of been the reigning champions of Group B here, and for the most part, if you want to overtake them, well, you've got to at least bring them to a draw or beat them. M&M's, the other UK counterparts, have been able to push them to a draw, which is the closest Penta has looked to being weak. And open up that window, actually. That'll give Blaz a freebie, and oh no. He'll evade that air jab, which might have sideswiped him as he ran away. And Grizzly is very aware that that is exactly where Blaz was sitting. Interesting that they didn't identify that to begin with, because if you watch the last game that Penta played on this map, that's exactly where Blaz sat almost every single defensive round at the start, without a doubt.
See how it shapes up in the final round. If it's more playing out in the same way, time will tell. It is, of course, the final round of the half here. For Penta, a 5-1 would look absolutely wonderful. For Cowana to steal this back to 4-2, I'd wager, given how the first 4 rounds went, would be a bit of a steal, a bit of a smash and grab on their side to give themselves a couple of round padding going into the second half. Doing the usual work that we see from teams here, getting control of museum entrance. Very commonly, we see some teams look to reinforce up a couple of these walls to make it harder to open up this angle that looks down into kitchen, contest a couple of the rotates coming out from defenders, and generally make their capability to contest a flank going down out towards Freezer a little bit harder for those that are stuck out towards the west side of kitchen.
I'm glad that they identified that it was going to be a kitchen site. I mean, obviously, where else are they going to go for the most part? But you got the buck, you've got the sledge, double hard breach, just in case someone gets lost along the way. A little bit of redundancy available for them, and I really enjoy that. You've got the grenades as well. What the buck does on this particular site that a sledge can't is open up the coffee angle. That's exactly what you're seeing the buck looking at now. He's making sure that coffee where they're flashing over towards, he has a really strong angle on, and probably because what they want to do is try and drop Freezer and go for a plant. Ravan is lit up from those angles that they have opened up, and Alive is desperately trying to challenge it. I think if they're able to get that pick, that would be really important. Blaz has already tried to flank here, and they know his exact position. So for now, the best thing they can do is just keep challenging it. Time delay, 30 seconds left. Can Blaz make an impact here, or can they get that vertical kill they needed? God, no. This is... Oh! Yo, that's karma, buddy! We call that karma.
Oh, Grizzly's like spider senses tingling, spins around and finds Blaz watching him from on high, like some demon about to drop down and assassinate him. But hey, Grizzly bites back, as do the rest of Cowana. Kayak is in. Plant's going down behind the framework itself, or behind the bomb frame, trying to make it stick coming through. Alive just comes through for the challenge and finds one. And finally they'll get away with it. Alive with a triple kill coming out, but he's in a 2 versus 1. Cactus is down. He's going to go for the res, bring him back up into a 2 versus 2. But sadly, the boys are just all too ready. And you have to question that domino effect. If Blaz had got that opening kill and not sat there and waited patiently for too long, what could have been the outcome of that round?
I tell you what, none of his other teammates, unless they were spectating him, of course, which they would not have been, would know exactly what he just threw away there. So if he stays quiet in the voice call right now and says, oh boy, sorry, I lost my gunfight upstairs, even though I quite technically think he lost them that round, because otherwise he would have been able to challenge the verticals, retake could have occurred, who knows, right? A whole other scenario could have occurred that just simply did not. But it doesn't really matter, because now they'll finish the half 4-2. That's pretty damn good on your first half. That's at least what you want on your defensive or defensive side of map. I still think Penta on their attack are going to be just as strong. We'll see how Cowana play it, but they look like they're finally getting into the groove of this game.
Right, well, now it's a game on the cards. 2 rounds to Cowana, a bit more breathing room. They now switch over to playing on the defense, and we're going to kick things off on the top floor. Turns instead of coming along, the Frost finally being brought along. We've seen a couple of teams starting to do this, actually, because, of course, you get the shield coming along. Now it's the secondary shotgun in the ITA to help with a bit of site terraforming. It's actually quite useful. And admittedly, with the Frost mats, look, it's a bit of a meme that people are like, oh, the replay. Thank you so much, production. Look at this.
Yeah, reinforce
Man's so
that.
patient. He's waiting to drop down. He's just like, yeah, come on, we'll go for it. And then, bam, comes the spin and the headshot straight into his face. Rip Blaz. But yeah, Frost here, I'm liking that a couple of teams have started using it. We actually saw Eminem making use of it before the buff came in. So maybe that's more of a trend that some teams will look at that and go, oh, she's even better now. So actually, even more fair use case to bring her.
That piano Frost mat, I actually think is a bit of a... I don't have a better word for it. It's a bit of a meme, because no team is going to enter piano without droning it. It's just simply not going to happen. So the fact that they've sort of put one there, I sort of thought maybe could be used elsewhere, maybe default plant spot if Penta run out of time, and use that against them, kind of like a lot of teams use Capcan traps, or maybe a vaultable area somewhere, a rotate inside a bathroom even, a drop down of a hatch, who knows. There are a couple of better spots to put it, but Frost mats are very big, they're very noticeable. And for the most part, I think for Cowana here, their biggest opportunity to win this round is to delay Penta from being able to get in and get in fast, because that's what Penta likes to do. That's a good Frost map there, particularly behind minibar as well.
Wondering how creative we can get, and hey, there you go, the Frost finding the opening kill as well from behind that shield. See what, not a bad gun. Quite a big fan, actually. It shoots pretty straight. You like most guns, as long as you can get it to the head, then who cares how much damage it does or the rate of fire, as long as you can get pretty good at clicking on those heads. Curious to see if anyone walks into a Frost mat, though. It's not something we've seen all that much. I think the last time I saw it was a member of Chaos, I believe it was Vito, actually, walking into one in the Nordic Championship. That was a long time ago. However, absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of hope someone walks into it as well. There's 2 placed over in Piano. Whether or not they've dispatched of either of them is yet to be seen. But the one behind Minibar is the one that's most interesting to me, because I think that one hasn't been droned out. There's actually no reason to drone that out now, because they know that they mostly have control of it, because that ace has opened up that Piano wall. So no one's playing Minimar. Sweet, let's just walk on in. Let's even just possibly ADS and accidentally strafe into it. That's how you catch a lot of players. But you got 60 seconds left. Whether or not this happens, yet to be seen. And now for Penta, they're just hoping people peek them. And if you're Cowana, you try not to give that away.
And also, again, let's touch on the drones for a second here, Jess. It was something we criticised Penta for last week, was their drones on the attacking side. And how many were left remaining? And guess what? There are none left alive. They have one left alive for the last 30 seconds. Go on alive. Go on alive. Do it. Do it. Do it. Please. 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 No! Found it.
There we go. Go Cactus. Cactus is close to one. It's like a magnet. You just want them to be
Cactus.
drawn to
Go
it.
on,
You
mate.
just want them to
Go on,
back
mate.
on
Go
up
on,
on it.
step
Yeah,
back.
back it up.
Go on, mate. Go on. Go on. Back. A little bit more. Just go
He's
to the
not
right. To the
doing
right.
it.
Come on.
I feel like he can't hear us.
Can we do Twitch plays Rainbow Six Siege and we all start spamming right, back, 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 and it's actually going to happen? That would be the dream, but I think he's too keen on moving forwards here that it's quite simply not going to be a thing. I tell you what, forget Frostmat, because the actual Frost herself is doing a lot of work here. It's going to bring down one towards the back, and now Alive is going to have to step around and take that place either inside a Cigar or pushing in through Piano. They're down to 1 man left alive. He's going to try and make it happen, but as you just saw that triple kill flash up on your screen from Gorgona, that round is done and dusted. A lot of work being done by the Clash there. Didn't even get to have a sniff at Cocktail and actually going for a plant inside the site itself.
Yeah, poor Enemy. He didn't really have the cover there that he needed to be able to finish that plant off. It is one of the default spots, and a lot of teams will open up that bar so you can see a little bit through it, so you know when the plant is going down. I think Enemy had tried to do a long smoke over towards Cocktail, and it meant that he didn't really have the smoke cover that he actually needed to get that plant off over towards Freezer as well. I think it just miscommunication and mistiming of a bit of utility as well meant that he wasn't able to be fully covered as one would like. But it doesn't matter. They would have worked it out anyway. A lot of these players have great map knowledge, so spraying through smoke for them onto the default probably isn't that difficult either. And those frost mats, they were just tempting us as we were hovering over, hoping that Cactus would misstep and jump on into it. But no more frost this round. Instead, we'll have a Mozzie, hoping to be a little bit more elaborate on the way that they take Penta's drones, considering that drone economy is something you've already pointed out.
Well, no Frostbeam Brawl on this time round. Clearly settled on the idea of, hey, it's going to work once. Now we need something more appropriate for this site. Gorgona actually going over to the Jaeger, so maybe going for a bit of a runabout in Cafe. Grizzly going over to playing on the Mozzie. The Mozzie, one of those picks that we still getting picked, see getting picked up from time to time, even without a mute in some cases. Here, of course, it is being doubled up with that. So maybe this is more Cowana doubling down on the weakness of Penta and acknowledging, yeah, okay, their drone work really isn't all that hot. Let's really apply the pressure here and give them some pain by bringing along the mute and the Mozzie at the same time. With the Wamai being banned away, it's totally okay to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as well. Especially if you're able to identify it. And Alive is alive no more.
Sloth.
Yep. He's finally woken up a little bit, and some players are very much like that. They much prefer and are much more confident on one side over the other. I think Joystick said the other day he just felt like he came alive on the attacking half. That was something he much preferred over the defensive half. Sweet, no problems. If that's what you prefer, if that's what you were feeling more confident on that map, no problems. Light it up, buddy. And maybe that's what Sloth is trying to show us here, is that now they're on defense. That's his playground.
It is, and we all know Joe in EUL. We know what he's been up to in terms of running around like an absolute madman at every single window or doorway that can be opened. He has been there. Sloth is very much that equivalent of Joe, but here for Cowana, he just loves going for those opening kills out of windows, out of doorways, being aggressive, running around the map, and generally trying to cause chaos. Let's keep a close eye on him and what else he can achieve, but with no ADSs inside of the site, Kayak is a dead man. That's the mute going down. Even with a C4 in hand, it's going to be of absolutely no use once you're dead. You okay, Jess? I'm assuming Jess is dead. She's disconnected, so guess what? It's me all by myself. Plan's going down at 1 versus 3. And now into a spot where we're in a post-plant of 3 versus 1. Grizzly all by himself playing from upstairs has got to make some magic happen here. No C4 left for him. It's going to all come down to some gun skill here. Tries to find what he can, but with no one wanting to try and peek him too aggressively, I say that, enemy's going to find him at range, it seems. Penta taking round number 8. That squares things up, or doesn't square things up, sorry. It pulls Penta into a 5-3. Maybe strikes a small resurgence for them here on the attacking side. Just one round to warm into things, and it could get a little bit better. We're now going to round number 9. Reading and Fireplay is going to be the next place, and I hear that someone's just tutted in my ear. Is that you returning to me, Jess?
It is. My apologies. I had a little bit of a disconnect. You know, down here at the bottom of the world, things aren't routed as nicely as things in Europe, but I'm back for the most part, and I was saying some really cool things. You guys missed out on me turning to Rap God. It was great. I was all over it. You know, me and the 4 walls around me had a great time listening to that particular bit of casting, but you know.
Yeah, Jess,
Cool.
I hate to tell you this, but if the walls told you they're having a good time, there's a very good chance you're taking some drugs.
Oh, no, not for me. No, thank you. The only drug I'm on here right now is the fact that I just love Siege.
No.
I love Siege. It's my drug. I'm addicted. That's it.
You had to say the cheesiest line in the world, didn't you? You had to go there.
Mate, I have to listen to you every day in my ears for the most part, and it's been a blessing not having you here for half the week because the things that come out of your mouth are not only cheesy, but there's dad jokes and there's bad puns, and then there's like all the things in between. So let me have
I'm
my
allowed
moment.
to. I'm old.
You know, in a few weeks, I'm old too. I'm a boomer. So can I do that then?
Wait, whoa. When's your birthday?
November 15.
Oh, wow, 23rd November.
Oh, wow. That's so coincidentally, I don't care.
Wow.
What do you turn? 34?
I mean, no, you don't care. I'm telling you nothing.
Yeah, good. I just want to watch the game. You don't matter to me. This game matters to me more than you do. Haha, let's continue.
You crack on, Jess. You crack on.
Thank you, I will.
I'll let you have your day today. You've deserved it after a season of ribbon. You carry on.
Speaking of, the one thing I wanted to point out was instead of the Legion this time for Sloth, it's going to be the Jaeger. He has been promoted to the Carbine. And, well, it looks like Grizzly's been promoted to the T5, more like it. He's able to pop off in the lurk down below, catch Blaz as he enters solo, and no trade will occur because guess what? It was a solo Ash. What a surprise. Not like we haven't seen that one before.
Apparently, Legion is the magical operator for the side of Cowana. You play that, you get opening kills like no tomorrow. It was Sloth in that last round playing on the operator. Here, like you say, is on that Jaeger. We're going to also trading around from being on the Jaeger in the last round. There's a few switcheroos coming in, but of course, with it being a changing side, that is sometimes what you see coming out of teams. Alive going to bring down Grizzly. The Legion is now removed from the field. They did remove that Ash nice and earlier. Pretty critical one if you're worried about all the utility that is being brought along by the other side. And given we have the Banshees, given we have the Goya Vulcan shields coming out, it's quite a lot to watch out for.
Just looking at that timer ticking away here for the attackers. Ravan sneaking his way into train, and no one's there to counter him if he does decide to push up into Fireplace. Oh no, enemy. That's going to give away his position, and for whatever reason he decides he needs to bail out by using a smoke. That could have been really crucial for him in his plant time there, and he'll rotate over to either brown stairs or red and join Ravan, because I think what their plan is here is to push A for the most part. A lot of teams do a default B plant. I think given Ravan now has that access to the side, he'll be able to get that along, and wow, I'm surprised enemy survived that.
So close at top as well. Gorgona didn't waste any time taking shots, but sadly could not connect the kill. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Into a 3 versus 3. 45 seconds on the clock. Pressure sits on the side of Penta here. We all speak about that time becoming the 6th man, and Revan goes, you know what, I agree with you. Let's put this down to being a 3 versus 2. Still got those drones left alive and out on the field here as well, so it shouldn't be too tragic for the side of Penta. They have the information, but have no idea that just a massive aggressive push is coming out of the side of Cowana. They're going to push out and go hyper aggressive here. 1 versus 2. 1 is down. All he's got to do is connect these shots, whipping back and forth between these pillars. Who's going to connect it? Is it Revan, or is it going to be the Mew? In fact, they trade out by the looks of it, I thought. But no, Anarchic Sally standing. Cowana gonna collect the round. Just goes to show, boys, sometimes going hyper aggressive is absolutely the play.
I love the bit where Anarchy pulled out his phone to text his mum and said, "Mum, quickly, I'm about to clutch the round." And then he put it back in his pocket and he just like, "Papa, SMG.
Mom, hit record, quick."
Mum, get the camera. I love that one.
God, that's such an old one, Jesus.
Is it actually that old?
It feels like it's at least 10 years ago now, I'm not going to lie.
See, now I'm going to check it out. Mum,
Early stage of the
get
internet.
the camera.
Because these were like the old days of like COD montages and stuff. Like, it's a long time ago.
All right, I'm clicking on the video now. I know exactly the one. This was 2011. This is like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, so 9 years ago. Close enough, close enough.
Wow. Well, there you go. I am officially joining the Boomer Club soon, so why not? Why not?
It never slows down either. You're always just like, man, I remember that when I was a kid, and then you just want to like cry a little bit.
Well, we know what you do on your weekends, and it's hella different from mine.
Yeah, you're not old enough yet. Give it time. Give it
Give
time.
it time.
You know what else happens on a weekend, though? Sometimes teams like to play a lot of Siege. And what do when they play Siege? They play Glass, because apparently he's the in thing now.
2 out of 10.
Interestingly, yeah, screw you. Either way, 2 smokes coming along with the ace here. Otherwise, it is Frag City on the side of Penta. You're seeing it coming out of the sledge, out of the Glass. So you're looking for a lot of kills, but also the gadget destruction. Normally, what I think I'd expect to see if you didn't have an Ashe or a Zofia on side to destroy those gadgets at long range would be these frags coming out. So I'm keen to see exactly what Penta plan to do with all this firepower.
I'm just really excited to see the Glass. We've been speaking about it in EUL. We've been speaking about it in multiple other, or rather APAC North more. And for me, I think it has shown that it can have its place. Especially, my biggest thing is that Ace has smokes, and so does multiple other operators that you can bring around him. And he obviously has smokes as well. My big thing is that without the Ace, I don't think Glaz would be as viable. With the Ace now, I think his viability rose 20-30% in my mind, just because the composition of operators you would usually bring does include an Ace, and why not accompany it with the Glaz? And oh yikes, that went down early. Where was the ADSs to accompany this? I mean, they're still setting up, so I get it, but
We had this earlier down in Kitchen, actually, when Kayak died to that grenade nice and early without any work having to be done to burn through utility. He just died in the back of Kitchen. No ADSs around, nothing to protect him. Was a little bit too easy. So that's maybe now a couple of rounds you could put down to saying, where are those ADSs? And probably, this is completely and utterly joke, probably all in Sloth's back pocket because he's been at every single window going. I'm joking. I'm sure they're down the field, but it wouldn't surprise me given who it is. Vlad's going to get the opening kill onto Grizzly here on the Goya of all operators as well. Not really the one you'd expect to see playing off on the roam and being caught out this early, but it is what it is.
that's actually a little bit of a revenge shot there, because Grizzly got him last time he entered below, and he actually decided to enter on the other side, catch him off guard, and then, well, there you go. And oh, good night. You got a sniper? No problems. I've got a better weapon here, and oh, yeah, a little bit of a reminder, it's not the better weapon, and he shouldn't have lost that.
It happens. And it's a crucial one to lose as well, because those smokes, yeah, okay, they look kind of cool, I guess, but that's all they're going to do. Look kind of cool. Even then, they're pretty grey and boring now, think about it. They're not so fun. With a Glaz, it'd be a lot more fun because people would be dying through that. However, with no one there to capitalize on the back of it, they are just going to expire. Nothing else really to come from it. I think they're going to try for yet another one because they really want this wall opened up, trying to get rid of the mirror window. They should be able to get away with this. An Arctic just going to spray through. I guess that's the downside of having spokes there, is you are also safe as the defenders if you do want to try and make use of those for your own purposes. They do so, still have a mirror window left alive, and despite all the utility that Penta brought, I think they are slowly starting to run out of options, Jess.
Yeah, they haven't even got rid of Pixel Shield. The timing on that, he crosses over, he gets access to side. Blythe should not be where he is right now, and if they win this round, it's off the back of these sneaky Ashe crouch walking skills.
Managed to make it happen. Yeah, okay, now that's one more down, so he's literally by himself here, going to finish one off. It is a triple kill for Gorgona. Enemy has got a lot to do here by himself, and it's quite simply not going to happen. I think he gets a trade in, but an Arctic finding that kill gives Cowana yet another round. It's feeling, Jess, like it's going to go here for Penta, exactly as it has done against the other UK team in M&M, potentially a draws on the board.
This would be a bit of a curse here for Penta if it does go this way. Either now that we're at 5-5, either Cowana win the next round, put themselves on match point, and they give Penta their first loss. Or this goes to a draw and Penta kind of goes, man, we're kind of cursed here on Cafe. Both of those UK teams have been putting us to our wits' end here on Cafe. And then if they verse them again, I don't think we see Cafe again. Surely not. I'm kind of glad they brought it this last matchup here before the playoffs to Cafe, because from what I'm analyzing from last matchup on Cafe and this one, they're pretty much doing exactly the same things. There's almost been nothing different. Even Blaz has been sitting at the same windows on defense that we saw him play in the previous matchup. The same mirror windows, you know, with the addition now of a mute jammer. Wow, how unexpected. But they're playing everything the same, so no one can go through those VODs and find any difference. It'll just be the same old that Penta are bringing. And I can imagine going into the playoffs, they might switch a few things up. I mean, they've got a good coach behind them as well.
Heading onto the downstairs, they've dropped away from playing the glass. The Maverick will make a return once more. Once more looking towards those 4 frag grenades that they brought in the last round. Wasn't as maybe as effective as they would have liked, even with them earlier on, catching out Kayak on this site. So let's play the game of following the ADS's medic. Where are they going to go down? There is one playing inside a bakery. Has he put any more down? He's put one down elsewhere, and there is still one in back pocket. I'd love to see if there's actually one here inside a prep, because that was where Kayak died to a grenade last time, but I don't think there is. No, he's not bothered. Where has he put it?
We have medics in AS trying to say, like, where are they? I'm looking for them. I'm scouting for them.
See,
I mean,
there's
they're
a really
doing a
fun few
bakery
mini
hold.
games that I play, right? So we do a really fun mini game where with a UK observer called RR General. And there you go, it's there. So there's 1 and 2 there, and then the third one against the wall. So this is a very aggressive hold, absolutely. We play a really fun game with an observer in the UK called Find the Castle. So you have to stay away from a castle during the prep phase. Once it's done, the observer has to go and find all of the castle walls as fast as they can. Trying to find ADSs, I think, is even harder.
Well, Blaz is trying to find an entry kill in the first 40 seconds. Go, Blaz, go. I mean, just jump on through. You either go to your death or you get a kill, and looks like the kill is the answer here. Blaz has been having a bit of a ripper game so far, especially on attack. I think him managing to work out exactly where a couple of these players have been wanting to sit and preferring to sit on the map has been quite good. The problem for Cowana now is what we saw in that prep phase. They're setting up for a heavy bakery push. Where are the rest of Penta right now? Because if that entry came through Coat, then where are they setting up to take? They're setting up to take White. Yikers, buddy. Guess what? No VIP hold. No real setup for this particular push. Maybe they misinterpreted exactly what Penta were going to do, because it's not what they set up for.
I guess here you don't have to worry about going for the drop through fireplace. You can be a little more patient about things and look to push your way through the freezer wall instead. You have the sledge over there. They had the grenade singing through just a second ago to make sure there's no funny business going on. And they have got part of this opened up. So now we're going to see a different sort of take. As mentioned, normally you'd see the VIP being held down. You'd look for a fireplace drop. Here, it's more this horizontal take. But you've got to worry about the angles that might end up getting held here by the defenders. And look at this drone as well. Lots of information being packed back and forth. They have a wonderful idea as to where these players are. Just one rush in here and try and kill him out. He didn't know he was being seen by a drone. I'd imagine the call comes through the buddy. You need to be careful. They know where you are. I think Alive still has an idea here. Wants to swing round. We'll find the kill onto an arc kick. 5 versus 3 for Penta to go for match point. All they've got to do is close this round down. Do they know about Kayak here playing behind Coffee? I'm not entirely sure. No, they do not. He steps up and finds one. Enemy with a TK. Sloth is trying to make something happen elsewhere. An enemy is going to grab this round by the scruff of the neck, charge it through, and give them control of the site. And now we go for the plant. We've got Revan holding inside a red. 2 pushing in from the side, but there we go. What a round by enemy. Like I say, dragging the round by the scruff of the neck over the finish line. The man kills 2, goes to a plant and decides, you know what? No, I want to frag today, and finds 2 more. What a round by him, and that is just enough to guarantee that Penta will find at least a single point. And with that, I'm pretty sure they are in a spot where they cannot have first place taken away from them.
Well, currently looking at the points here, and I'm just going over it, they can still be overtaken by Homeless. I can't even believe I'm putting those words are coming out of my mouth. Yes, Penta can be overtaken by formerly Azarko Boars, now Homeless. And if you're listening to this and you're an organization looking to pick up a team, you should damn well pick up the second place team here in Group B, known as Homeless now. They're the Polish team. They can overtake them by walking away with a win today against a very formidable opponent of M&M, who, when I say formidable, they're outranking them on the leaderboard as it currently sits. So how formidable they really are to them is yet to be seen. My big point here is I don't think it's as likely Homeless walk away with a win against M&M. They've shown up a couple of games here. I think their sort of glory run has kind of come to an end here, but that doesn't stop them walking away in a pretty good position here in playoffs. For Penta, however, they probably aren't too concerned that M&M will not win it. And for M&M, they really want to move up into that second place. And, well, if Penta draw here, they'll actually... I'm looking at the head-to-heads here. I'm trying to put it. They drew. It'll come down to round differential. And then...
Yes, you're sweating.
Oh my God.
She's sweating.
Oh, okay. Statistically,
Get the calculator out, Jess.
I will have to wait to count the amount of rounds M&M win
What a letdown.
this comes down to a draw in the next game.
What a letdown.
So don't miss the next game as well.
I was so excited there. You built up such hype around it, and then there's no end product.
Next game, we get the end product. Trust.
All right. We'll wait for it. By the way, it would be pretty fitting, to be fair, thinking about it, that you've seen so many of these teams draw against each other in this group. We've always spoken about Group B being the group of death. The way it shapes up, it's definitely starting to feel that way. M&M drew against Cowana, Penta drew against M&M, and now Penta are potentially about to draw against Cowana unless they can break that triangle, get out of this love triangle, and get themselves a win, establish themselves as the #1 in the group. Already we're looking towards this top 4 clear coming out for the side of Penta, trying to threaten their way onto Kayak, who's playing, I don't want to say unnecessarily aggressive, but very aggressive, absolutely. Gets droned out as well, doesn't choose to move away, or droned out, more scanned out, I should say. Nearly gets himself tagged down on the other side of things, but there are still 5 alive for either side.
Oh, goodness me!
Oh, whoa! There's flying bodies apparently here, ladies and gentlemen. 2 kills come against Cowana. That's 2 in favor of Penta. 1 gets traded back as yet another scan comes out. And that is the early bloodbath settled. And I imagine now we go back into the droning. Bearing in mind we are still only at 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining here. There's still plenty more to come in this round.
I mean, it is spoopy month, so not a surprise that you have people dropping above you. Give yourself a little bit of a scare. I mean, I love Halloween. Halloween is a great month. And I think for Penta, it's been a great month for them as well, moving on to the playoffs in a very high seed for them. Did they miss drone Sloth here? Yes, they did, but Sloth, buddy, no. Oh my God, enemy. What an absolute banger of a game to finish on here before the playoffs. He's absolutely popped off.
Sloth is going to be kicking himself so hard. There is no way you put half a mag into a player and you don't kill him. Unlucky for him. This looks to be the victory lap for Penta, though. 3 versus 1. Grizzly, the last man left standing. He's going to have to pull off something heroic here. And you get the feeling it would be deserved given how well they played in a few of these rounds. But the ferocity of Penta, enemy especially, take a bow after today, my friend. We were speaking about Ravana, Live, and Blaz, what they have achieved. But so far, it has been him that has done work for them today. 1 kill is found, 44 seconds to go. He is on the defense. It's not the end of the world, but he's got to be so careful. He just doesn't walk into the waiting arms of one of these attackers. 35 seconds to go, holding around White, challenging to see if anyone dares try and push him. There's Ravan holding around at the top of White, just patiently waiting here. They don't need to panic. They've got the diffuser in their hands. They can go for this play together as a unit. They can play for the trade. Right now, Grizzly just needs to dance around, keep himself safe. Got about 15 seconds to go, buddy. You've also got these cameras still to help you out. He knows about Fireplace, sees and tries to push through, doesn't manage to get the kill, and is going to have to back away. So close, still a 1 versus 2, and now going temporarily into a 1 versus 1. Gets hit out by the Gooman, sorry, he's going to find the kill from above. No way does Grizzly hold on to this all the way through. Cactus has got to make something happen. How on earth can you throw the 1 versus 2? Grizzly Cigar, Cowana, they bring the draw. The love triangle stays intact. There's going to be a lot of jealousy here. No one has a complete answer in Group B as to which of these 3 teams reigns superior. Homeless are in a spot, though, to put themselves above both of them if they go on to win their next game.
How fitting that Penta will walk away with yet another draw here on Cafe against yet another UK team. Seems like the thorn in their side are those UK players. And, well, as I said, if you stay here for next game, considering this went to a draw, the next game will decide exactly who moves into that top seed, whether they do or they don't. And, well, that's probably pretty big considering the absolute massive players we have in Group A. You don't want to be going up against Windstrike, I don't think. You want to be trying to snag one of those other teams early on in the best of one. Well, it's not even best of one, it's a single elimination. So you got to win every matchup. There's no second chance. So big matches.
It's gonna be spicy because I think with how things currently sit, Cowana most definitely finish in 4th place. They have to face off against Windstrike, but these other 3 teams, just a little bit of dancing around to do here at the top of the table. Let's go over to the Desto and see what they think about this match.
Thank you so much, guys. And honestly, I did not expect this to go to